All right, Shalom Israel, with the Israelite School, Israel, Salakia, Shalom Israel, with the Israelite School, Universal Practical Knowledge, the One West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, and the Command Julian. We're not affiliated with any other Israelite group nor any other Christian organization. So tonight's class is the Lashawan Qadash class, which is the Hebrew language class, a very, very, very important class to adhere to and to pay attention to. All right, I cannot express this enough how important it is to learn your language. Like this is our language. Like this was the language that the Lord gave to us to keep. You understand? Like every nation, like not almost every nation, other races of people on the earth understand how important it is to hold on to their customs and their culture and their heritage. Do you understand? They know how important it is just to keep the language of your people. They understand how important that small fact is. We may not realize it now because we've been slaves for so long. We've been slaves for the past 400 something years. And that that's including the Native Americans and the Hispanics. We've been in slavery for the past 400 something years now. Slavery didn't start in the 1700s. It started sometime in the 1500s, almost close to the late 1400s, like 1490 something, when the slave trade really started to become rampant in the transportation of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. At that time, it may have been just the Latinos and Native Americans. Then the so-called blacks entered the slave trade by the millions, by the millions. I'm telling you. And so, because we've been slaves for so long, we don't realize that we have a culture and a heritage of our own. We don't realize the importance of holding on to something sacred like that. Other races do. Other races understand if you don't know how to speak Hawaiian, it is a sin. You understand? It's a sin if you're Hawaiian and you don't know how to speak the Hawaiian language. It's almost like it's a sin if you're Chinese and you don't know how to speak the Mandarin language. Like if you come from Nigeria, if you're some African, remember we're not Africans back here. But imagine if you guys could just put it into perspective. If you're some African, all right, and you from Nigeria, there's different dialects and different languages in Nigeria. Was Igbo the Igbo language coming from the Igbo tribe, right? And if you did not know how to speak that, it was like, who are you? You understand? Like, who are you? You know what I'm saying? What you like? What are you? Who are you? What are you doing? Why do you not know how to speak this? Because it's a sin for you to damn near not know your language. And God says the same thing. It's damn near against the law, all right, for you to not know how to speak the Hebrew language. I bring this up every class. I always like going to Genesis, not Genesis. Let's go to Nehemiah. I said Genesis because it was right on the screen. Let's get to Nehemiah. I want y'all to have this scripture by heart. Y'all should know this scripture by heart. Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 26. Y'all should know this by heart. All right. I went too far down. It's locking my screen running kind of slow. Terrible Wi-Fi here. There we go. And so now, Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 23. Now, if y'all can read, I know y'all can see what's on my screen. All right. I know you guys can see on my screen right here. But in Nehemiah 13 and 23, if y'all see the top title, now this is just in the Blue Letter Bible, King James Version, though. It says mixed marriages forbidden. All right. I believe at one point they must have just put that there. I thought it said interracial the last time, but maybe it did. But we say interracial marriaging. We don't like to put that little Christian stigma on it. Mixed marriages. That's like trying to soften the blow. Listen, interracial marriages are forbidden. All right? It's forbidden. The Lord is against interracial marriaging, and here's why. There's a spirit behind why the Lord does not want you to go outside of your nation of people and marry them. And now remember, sex is marriage. All right? Sex is marriage, not relations. It's sex. You understand? We say sex is marriage. I want to give it to you raw, just like that. Sex is marriage according to the Bible. All right? In Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 23, in those days also saw I Jews that had married wives of Ashdod, of Ammon, and of Moab. All right, so it says saw I Jews. Now, who are the Jews? The Jews are God's chosen people. The Jews are referring to so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And it says, I saw Jews that had married wives of Ashdod. Ashdod would be your so-called Jewish man today coming from Amalek. All right, the ones that be the Hasidics with the yarmulkes and the white and the black. That's who Ashdod would be of Ammon. That's your so-called Japanese today. And that'll be your so-called Chinese today. Like if you believe in the Bible, these nations existed and these nations were once people before. All right. A lot of people don't believe in the Bible because the Christian church cannot break these type of things down. Like these people have this is the Bible is a record of things. And so it's not just a made up story or made up it's not a made up of fake stories put together and now you have the Bible. That's not what the Bible is. These were recorded events, right? That were recorded and put on record by a certain nation of people, and those people were the Israelites. They were the Jews. All right. And so you got Ashdod, Ammon, and Moab. So we had our people were marrying these people, the people of Ashdod, the people of Ammon, the people of Moab, the so-called Japanese and the Chinese and the so-called Jewish man today. Verse 24. And the children spake half in the speech of Ashdod. So the children, the outcome, the result, the product of these marriages was their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod. Now, of course, that's just naming one of the people in particular, which would be the so-called Jewish man today, or Amalek. And here goes, there's more. And could not speak in the Jews' language. It said, and could not speak in the Jews' language. The Jews' language. That Jew talk. What's the Jews' language? That's the Hebrew. You understand? Like this was the results of interracial marriaging. This was the problem of you going outside of your nation of people and having sex with their men and their women. Allow me to break it down to you just a little bit further, if I may. Let me break it down for you. With sex comes babies. Okay? I know some of y'all out there that I may have blew your mind. I may have blew your mind. I may have what's that saying? Something feathers, fluffy feathers, whatever it is. right? Ruffled your feathers, I believe that's what it is. I may have ruffled your feathers a little, all right? But sex is marriage, and through sex comes children, all right? So when you decide to have sex outside of your nation, you are risking you are risking of diluting what and who you are. You understand? And then you're risking of diluting the next generation. You understand? And then the next generation after that, and the next generation after that. Then you have a generation that doesn't know anything about not putting raisins in potato salad. There were generations that knew that raisins don't belong in potato salad. You understand? Before you decided to marry Becky and Skylar, all right, and Elizabeth and all these other, all these Edomite women, all right, there was a generation that knew not to put raisins in the potato salad, that knew how to fry chicken, all right, that knew how to make collards the right way. There was a generation that knew this, but because you married outside of your nation, now there's raisins in the potato salad. That's a damn sin. You understand? It's not an actual sin, anybody. I'm just, of course, that's all fun and games. I'm being funny in that point, but the moral of the story is, right, generations to come do not know who they are because of all of this interracial marriaging, because of going outside of your nation. That's why it says, and could not speak in the Jews' language. Now there's a generation of children that don't know how to speak Hebrew. Now imagine the generation of their children and the generation of their children. If this problem doesn't get corrected, if this doesn't get nipped in the bud as soon as possible, then it's going to cause many problems down the line. And this is one of the main problems that we run into in the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community, in the ghetto, in the hood, in our neighborhoods, in our cities, is our brothers going outside and marrying women of another nation of people, sisters going outside of their people and marrying the men of another nation of people. And this causes problems throughout the community that we do not realize. Like, we don't see, because of Christianity, all right, we don't see the danger in going outside and marrying some other nation or having sex with someone outside of your race. We don't see the danger. We're like, it's just, we've been taught all our lives we're all equal, we all the same. You know what I'm saying? We all bleed red, we all have hearts in the brain. We don't, we're all this the best one. This is the best one that they say. There's only one race, the human race. So we all need to, we can all be able to come together and do all these things. There's only one race, the human race, when 9/11 happened, and then the response because of 9/11. There was no, there's one race, human race. There was none of that. There's no talk like that. It was that race of people did this, we're killing everyone for it. That's what America said. You understand? And that's what America did. We don't see the dangers, right, in going outside of our nation and marrying these, if you're a sister, marrying these men, if you're a brother, marrying these women. We don't see the dangers. And that's clearly because of Christianity. We don't see that the more we go outside of our nation, we lose who we are. We lose the kind of person we're supposed to be. And you don't see really, even on the economic structure, we love to talk about economics back here. Some of y'all conscious cats don't think that we don't know economics back here, but we speak economics back here in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. You understand? Economically, going outside of your nation and marrying outside of your nation can be dangerous. It's like, well, not can be, is dangerous. Like, economically, you are supposed to keep wealth. Every nation of people understands that when they generate wealth, they want that wealth to circulate through their community, through their nation of people. You understand? Just like when, like, think about it on a, let's start on a basic human scale. If you have a family and you're trying to create wealth for your family, you want that wealth to be able to spread through your family in that one house. Well, other nations understand that premise too. But the problem that we have, no thanks to Christianity, nations go beyond that because they understand their entire nation of people are their family. That's why in the Bible, nations are considered families. That's why in the Bible it says the families of the earth. This family over here, and it's talking about a group of people, like a nation of people in the Bible. That's why they use things like this because other nations know they're they are a family. You know what I'm saying? That's why when you hear our oppressor talk, or when you hear these scientists talk, especially when they're talking about animals, they say, well, this is the cat family, right? This is the cat family, or then they break it down to this is the lion family, the tiger family. You understand? Like these things are used so you can understand like this is a group of people in particular. All right, this is a group of people. They may not all get along with each other, right? And they may separate themselves some way somehow, but this is a family of people. All right. Like Moab is the entire family of people, then there's subgroups of Moab. Ammon is the family of people, then there's subgroups. You understand? Of that one family. You understand? Not to overcomplicate things, but these are just an example. Don't try to, I don't want you to, don't explode your head trying to grasp it. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible, right? And so these other nations understand that they are a family. So they want the wealth to generate through their family, their entire nation, right? So they keep it amongst their people. You hardly see Vietnamese going outside and marrying non-Vietnamese people. I personally have not seen it. Not yet. I don't want to see it. All right. I don't want to see it. I'm sure there's some oppressor out there, that's with some Vietnamese woman because of the military, whatever. I don't know. All right. But the majority of the Vietnamese marry Vietnamese. Me personally, I have not seen a Korean step outside of their nation of people and purposely marry. I haven't seen it yet. Is it out there? I'm sure it is. But for the most part, these other nations of people understand how to keep it amongst their people. And it's a natural thing. It's naturally to be attracted to your own nation of people. That's normal. That's a normal thing. You really, in reality, you truly do have to kind of try hard to just marry outside of your nation of people. You gotta have some form of hatred for your people down there. You have to purposely try. You have, nowadays is a damn near sisters called experimenting. I'm going to experimenting to be with some Edomite, or some Jake or some Skylar. You have to truly try hard. But naturally, that sister's attracted to a black man naturally by default. That black man is attracted to that black woman. So far, so forth. A black, Hispanic, American woman, for the most part. It's just what it is. You get my point? So you truly have to kind of try really hard to go outside of your nation of people. We're naturally attracted to our own. You know what I'm saying? And so, and really it's like and to sum it up, of marrying outside of your nation, it's a lust. It's a lust thing. It's really lust. You're not doing it for, you're not doing it for love. Now, what I mean by you're not doing it for love, y'all know what I mean by love. I ain't talking about the feeling that sisters talk about. Oh, do you love me? I want to feel like I'm loved. I ain't talking about that love. I'm talking about real, genuine biblical love, which deals with economics, not killing each other, murdering each other, any of that. I'm talking about real, authentic God's love, right? We're not going out. We're not going to these nations for love. You think I'm gonna go get a Korean because I want to economically establish the black community? I guess that's what's going to build the black community up. Me going to get some Korean, you know what I'm saying? Me going outside to go get some Vietnamese box is going to build up the black community. Me going to get some Becky and some Skylar is going to build up the black community. Like, think about it. How? How is that? Can we fathom that? Like, when General Muhammad said, "If there's a white girl in your bed, that's not heaven." I'm paraphrasing, but that's not heaven. It's not the kingdom. It's not the kingdom if some Becky is in your bed. That's not the kingdom. Right? It doesn't. It don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? If anything, that's hell. But of course, you can't see it. Christianity has a blind on you, teaching you love is love. Love comes in different colors. The hell it does. The only thing that comes in different colors is Jolly Ranchers and ring pops. All right, it's the only thing that come in different colors, but it sure as hell ain't love. I'll tell you that for sure. Let's continue reading though. And so, the Lord was trying to warn us about this. The Lord was trying to give us this warning. And in Nehemiah, the Lord is trying to warn us and explain to us how important it is to hold on to our language and to hold on to our language, and not just our language alone, but our customs and our culture, is also by not going outside and marrying another nation of people. Like, that's what the Lord really wants us to understand and know. All right, that's the premise and the purpose of all of this. And that's why we're in the Hebrew Lashawan Qadash class today, so we can get used to hearing our language. All right, that's the point of it all. I'm a, um I'm just gonna read 25 for some giggles because I like 25. 25 really hits at home. Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 25, and it says, "And I contended with them." So when he saw this, that they couldn't speak the Jews' language and all this interracial marriaging, he went to war with these brothers and sisters, man. He went to war with them. All right. He said, and I contended with them. He battled them. All right. He went to war and battled and fought them and cursed them. All right. He cursed them. He didn't bless them for it. All right. He didn't bless them saying, "Oh, blessed are you for getting this, what I no." He cursed them for it. Why did he curse? Why did he curse them for it? Because this is a curse. For them to go out to for you to go for us to go outside of our nation and marry is a curse. You understand? For us to not know our heritage, our culture is a curse. For us to not know the language of our forefathers is a curse. All right, that's a spiritual thing that other nations understand but us. But we are here to understand it now that it is a curse. It's a curse if you do not know how to speak your own language. And smoked certain of them. Like I said, he went to war. He damn near killed these brothers. You know what I'm saying? And plucked off their hair. All right. He damn near killed certain of them. All right. And plucked off their hair. All right. Now, what does it mean to pluck off someone's hair? Imagine your hair being pulled out of your head. That shit hurts. Excuse me, it hurts. That type of stuff hurts. I don't know if you ever got your hair pulled before, all right, in an aggressive manner, but just to let you know, it does not feel pretty. It's the worst feeling ever. But imagine getting your hair plucked out of your head and made them swear by God. Like, while he's doing all of this, he's making these brothers swear by God, saying, "Ye shall not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons or for yourselves." You understand? Nehemiah said, Ye shall not give your daughters unto their sons. Meaning, if you have a daughter, do not give her away in marriage to the sons of another nation of people, nor take their daughters unto your sons. Meaning, don't allow your son to go out there and take a daughter of another nation of people or for yourselves. And you don't go out there and take a daughter to yourselves, a woman of another nation to yourselves. Why? Why is he talking about the sons and daughters? Because this determines the future of our nation. Every other nation of people understands how important it is, right, for the future of their race of people. Every nation understands that. The Chinese understand it, the Japanese understand it, the Africans understand it, the East Indians understand it, the Arabs understand it, our oppressor understands it. It's always about the future because this is how you live on as a people. This is how you stay strong as a people. You have to nurture the next generation. You're supposed to nurture them really to be better than you, to be even better. That's the purpose of it all. The purpose is to make smaller U's so one day they can become bigger U's and you become a smaller U and now they got to take care of you until you wither away. Like that's just life. That's how it's supposed to be. All right. You make little U's become big U's, you become another little U, and then one day you're gone, and then the whole process starts over again, and you come back on earth as a baby. That's how it's supposed to be. That's biblical. That's how it all came out to be. And so the generation of the the next generation was always something that was talked about and said throughout these nations. And that's why Nehemiah is saying the things that he's saying, because the next generation matters. This determines the success. Like the next generation is what's going to determine the success of whatever you're trying to build. And America even understood that. America understood in the 1700s when they separated themselves from the British that the future generation, right? Everything is determined how well the next generation is taught. That's why they taught their children how to completely despise black people, to completely despise the Native Americans and the Hispanics. They taught their children that because that's what was necessary to keep their nation strong. You guys do understand that, right? Before I get back into this Hebrew, everybody understands that that's what made America great is by teaching everyone or teaching their people and the generations to come and their children to be completely against and to completely despise blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's what makes America great. Everyone should understand there's one common fact. All right. That's what determined the success of America. All right. We had to be in chains in order for America to be successful. We had to be lynched in order for America to be successful. We had to be raped and molested in order for America to be successful. Our children had to be killed and murdered at young ages in order for America to be successful. The Native Americans had to be murdered all the way to Utah, into New Mexico, into Wyoming, into Ohio, into Colorado, in order for America to be successful. That's what had to happen for America to be successful. They had to teach and breed hate in order for America to be successful. They had to. But in order for the Israelites to be successful, we're going to teach love back here. We're not going to teach hate. We don't teach hate back here. We teach nothing but love. You understand? And if you take our love as hate, that's not our problem. That's not our problem. That's a personal problem. All right, that sounds like a personal problem, Jimmy. All right, Timmy, Alex. All right, Skylar, Xavier, Gunther. That sounds like a personal problem with you. All right, it's not my problem that you take our love as hate. All right, sorry that we no longer accept your hate for love. I apologize. That hurts you so much that we no longer accept your hate for love. That's just that. But let's get into it. We're gonna start with the alphabet. So the first letter we got is your I. You got your I in the Syrian, and you got your I in the ancient. You got your ba in the Syrian, then you got your ba in the ancient. You got your ga. You got your ga in the Syrian, you got your ga in the ancient. That storage should be open. Let me pull out there. Okay, for you got your da. You got your da in the Syrian, and you got your da in the ancient. Next is your ha. You got your ha in the Syrian, and you got your ha in the ancient. Next is your wa. You got your wa in the Syrian, you got your wa in the ancient. Exit me out. To like you about that. So you have your wa in the Syrian, and you have your wa in the ancient. You got your za in the Syrian, and you got your za in the ancient. Next is your kha. You got your kha in the Syrian, and you got your kha in the ancient. Now remember when you're trying to pronounce that letter kha, make sure you're trying to scratch the back of your throat. To like you. You want to try as if you're trying to cough up a loogie with that ah sound, like kha, kha. Now, if you notice listening in, when I said ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, cha, all right, our language is a consonant language. And the reason why I say this every class is I want y'all to get used to even explaining one day to brothers and sisters that the Hebrew language is a consonant language, meaning there were no vowels. All right, there was no e, o's, u's, none of that. All right, we had a there was some consonants, meaning all of our letters have similar sounds, and that similar sound was the sound. It was the sound, okay, that sound. So that's why it's it's like you hear the cha, cha. Next, you have your ta. All right, your ta. You got your ta in the Syrian, and you got your ta in the ancient. Next, you have your ya. You got your ya in the Syrian, and you have your ya in the ancient. Next is you have your ka. You have your ka in the Syrian, and you have your ka in the ancient. Now pay attention to that ka in the Syrian. All right, found that ka to your left is the ka that you would see at the end of a word. So if you've seen this ka, this is how you would know that this word ends with the letter ka. All right. Then you have your la. You have your la in the Syrian. You have your la in the ancient. Next you have is your ma. You have your ma in the Syrian. Then you have your ma in the ancient. Same premise of the letter ka. It's like it. Same premise. That ma that you see on the left to the where the arrow is pointing to, that's what a ma is going to look like when it's found at the end of a word. Let me see if there's any examples. Mm-hmm. Should be Nehemiah 13:25. Perfect example right here. You see how it says I'm, I believe, let's see, I'm should mean people. Okay. So this I'm with against toward.
$16.40B.
Let's see. It's about to give me a whole breakdown. I didn't ask for that. It is. You see how it's pronounced? It's pronounced as I'm. I believe it comes from imam. Let's look that up. Okay, imam. It's a verb. So it's a verb meaning to dim, darken, grow dark, to dim, eclipse, be held dark, dimmed, to be dimmed, to grow dark. All right. Mm. So it's a primitive root. Okay. So imam is a primitive root to associate by implication, to overshadow, I mean like to huddling together, to become dim, to hide. Okay. So that's where you get I'm from. Okay. But now don't so here we go. So of course this word is I'm ma. It's not the I'm mom like you just seen where I'm comes from, but I'm ma. I'm meaning with, ma meaning them. All right, so I'm ma meaning with them. If you guys learned something today, that's good because so did I. All right, so did I. I'm ma. All right, but you see that ma right there that's at the end? Like that's what a ma is going to look like at the end of a word. This is what, and it's always going to look like that. And then no matter where the other ma is, it's going to look like this. As long as the ma is not at the end or the very last letter, it's going to look like this one. But if the ma is the very last letter of the word, then it's going to look like this. So you got I'm ma, perfect example. Aqualalma, another example. All right, qualal. All right, another good example. You got another one. Makam, Anashim. It's a lot of them. What's like it? It almost look like almost every letter, every last letter of these words being used. But it's because in this sentence there's a lot of them involved. Contended with them, cursed them. So that those mus at the end of those verbs or in those words are object pronouns. Them is an object pronoun. All right. All right. Awawayab, I'm ma, wa akolalma, wa aka, makam, anashim, wa amarat. It's like wa amaratma. All right, like these are things to pay attention to. It says, and plucked off their hair. So if I go up, this should be the word for hair. Or the, well, it's like it should be the, it's either a verb or that, this one means to the head. It should be their hair in Hebrew. At least it should be. We're about to find out. We'll get back to the Hebrew in 1 second. This is Marat. Right. I knew Marat. I figured because Sha'ir should be here. to bear, polish, make smooth or bald or bare, to make bare, to make bare, score, polish, to make bald, to get rid of hair. That's literally what we're reading. He was taking the hairs out of their head. Right. So amarat. It's amarat, meaning to pluck, or to get rid of, to bald, or to make bald, meaning that this word amarat would literally translate into plucked off their hair. It's literally what it would translate to. Amarat, ma, literally translates to and plucked off their hair. That wa is how you would say and. Amarat. Amarat is how you would say plucked off hair, and then that ma makes it their hair. So everybody get that right there? So everybody see that breakdown? Anybody see how I was able to analyze that and to know what that word means? That's why it's important to learn the Hebrew and know exactly what's being said. Next is your na. You got your na in the Syrian, and you got your na in the ancient. Then you got your sa. You got your sa in the Syrian, and you got your sa in the ancient. Y'all give me 1 second. All right, we back up. Salaki. All right, so we were left off on your sa. So you got your sa in the Syrian, you got your sa in the ancient. Next, you got your I. You got your I in the Syrian, and you got your I in the ancient. Next is your pa, the very same concept with your ka, your ma, your na, all of that. All right, you got your pa in the Syrian, you got your pa in the ancient. Next is your taza. You got your taza in the Syrian, and you got your taza in the ancient. Same premise of your ma, your pa. It's like it. Your ma, your na, your pa, your ka, all of that. All right. This is your taza. And you got your qua. You got your qua in the Syrian. You got your qua in the ancient. Next is your ra. You got your ra in the Syrian, and you got your ra in the ancient. You got your sha. All right. Next is your sha. You got your sha in the Syrian, and you got your sha in the ancient. Next is your tha. You got your tha in the Syrian, and you got your tha in the ancient. All right. Oh yeah, that's no sweat out. And shalom. Yahweh and Shabbat. Khan, I got you noted that. No sweat, no sweat out. Just if you did not, if you're going to be late to class, you know what you want to do, especially for the brothers that are, especially for the brothers that want to become troopers. All right, if you want to be a trooper in the school, this is what you want to hold yourself to a certain standard as well, as much as possible. All right. And so, with that being said, I'm gonna give you some things to look for. So, if you're going to be late to class, knowing that you have to be somewhere, like if you have to be at class, which all of us have to be at class at a certain time, if you're not going to be able to make it at that certain time, you want to communicate, all right, that you are not able to make it to that class at that particular time, right? You want to communicate that. So for any brother out there that wants to be a trooper, keep that in mind. If you're going to be late, all right, you're going to be late. You want to communicate that you're going to be coming to class late. All right. Eventually, these classes are going to be done online while simultaneously being done at an actual school. All right. We're going to broadcast our classes online and at the building that we eventually get, that we're working towards. You understand? So with that being said, there's a lot that goes into making sure a building, all right, or a school, so to say, I should say, and the classes run smoothly. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And so we want to make sure we are in order, and we want to make sure everything is done properly the way it's supposed to, because if not, then you're not, a lot of things are going to the Lord's not going to be with it. All right. Like, showing up late to a class, especially if you're an officer, all right, and troopers that desire to be officers, right? You want to pay attention to this. Young men that desire to be troopers and troopers to be officers, I think you should pay attention to this too as well. You know, if, as an officer, you're going to be in charge of running a class and making sure class is operating the way class is to operate. And sometimes there has to be another man with you doing that class. There at least has to be two officers in that class, in that school. One teaching and one on shamar. Troopers can stand shamar too. So this is why I'm bringing it up. But in particular, that officer has to be at that shamar to be in charge of overall shamar. All right, meaning to keep watch. Think security. All right, think security. What I'm talking about. And so if you are late to a class, when class is supposed to start at a certain time, and you do not communicate that class is not going to start at the time it's supposed to be starting, and you get there, let's say 30 minutes, because usually that's a common thing to do. 30 minutes late to anything. Some you even tell your job that you communicate with your job, don't you? With your slavery, let them know you're gonna be 30 minutes late. Well, communicate those things, right? You're gonna be like 30 minutes late to somewhere, 15 minutes late, because maybe you are going to be the shamar. You're going to be overall in charge of making sure things are in order. If no one is there, then everything is just going to be out of order, and you don't want that. All right, and we don't want that. The Lord would not. The Lord does not want it. The Lord's not going to be with it, and the Lord going to shut the whole thing down. You know, so that's just a lesson out there. So of course, young man Kenny, don't sweat it. By the way, I wasn't, and don't, I'm not targeting you either. But that is because no sweat, no sweat, and it's good that you still came and checked in, because that is what's really important too as well. You came and checked in. Most brothers and sisters don't even come and check in. Do you understand? All right, but young man Nate, young man Kenny, y'all stay solid. Y'all come into class. Y'all keep coming to class, keep doing your thing. Young man Kenny, young man Nate, they staying in here. They keep coming to class. I believe there was one other brother. There was one other brother. I believe was it young man Calvin? Don't know where that brother went. But young man Kenny, young man Nate, they are in class. All right. You know, young man Calvin need to bring. He needs to come to class too. But if he doesn't want to, then that's no sweat. He can continue watching class and get all the information from y'all. That's no sweat. He can get all that information from y'all. There's no sweat. True with Yagadar in here. No sign Christ. But Khan, well, let's get to it. Before moving on, does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? La. Okay, Con, let's get it. Before we really get into it, we probably got 20 minutes left of class. So let's try to get a verb conjugation out of it. Might be a little slow on it. Actually, it would be best if I can check something out real quick. Go to Google. Where is it? Mm, just bear with me 1 second, y'all. No, not a vocabulary. All right. So let's see if y'all can see this real quick. Do a quick, do a quick overview of different tenses. Can everybody see? Can everybody see very clear on the board? Let me know if you guys can see pretty clearly. Can y'all make those words out? Or do I need to make it? Do I need to zoom on? Do I need to zoom in a little more? Now let me know. Do I need to zoom in a little more? Or you guys are good? Okay. I'll zoom in one more time just in case. Cause I can somewhat see them now a little too. Okay. So, well, let's start from up top. All right. It says, and remember, an adjective must agree in number as well as in gender with the noun which it modifies. So to form the feminine of adjectives, right, you add a ha. An example, good. Good is an adjective. tawab. Then you have tawaba. Then you have tawaba. You made that now feminine. Because if you're talking about, let's say, if you say this sister is good, you wouldn't say the sister is tawab. You would say the sister is tawaba. The sister is tawaba because you're referring to a sister. You have to put the adjective explaining who, the adjective. Okay, the noun is the sister, and because it's a woman, you have to feminize the adjective. All right, so to form the feminine adjective, add ha. And so it's a very common thing to do with adjectives. All right, adjectives, usually adjectives. All right, you don't got to do it so much, so to speak, with nouns, but with adjectives, when you're describing something, you're describing a brother, it could be in the masculine tense. If you're describing a sister, make sure you're putting in the feminine tense. The adjective itself, like good, bad, etc., etc. That's why you'll see in the Bible when it says evil, all right, and it has the ha at the end, like raya, instead of rai, it's raya. You'll see that because it's in the feminine tense. It uses an adjective describing the nation of Israel, and sometimes Israel is in the feminine tense because it's described as a woman. All right, most nations and lands is always referred in the feminine tense. I mean, even in other languages too, it's like that. It's like it. Now you have the present tense. I want you guys to take a quick look at the different type of conjugations. And so just to give you guys an overview of what we will most likely be diving into next week about verb conjugations. And so throughout the Bible, you'll see these conjugations. And so you have these certain rules. So you have the verb to be, right? To be meaning hawa, all right? All right, to be is hawa, sometimes haya, all right? It's either hawa or haya. Usually, all right, usually we use haya, haya throughout. You'll see hawa every once in a while, but it's mostly haya with a ya. Throughout the Bible, you'll see haya, okay? Will you ever see a hawa? Sometimes. The hawa is there sometimes because it's conjugated. You take the ya out, you put a wa, you can conjugate it in the present tense. All right, you guys get that point, right? Because in the present tense, in order to conjugate a verb, you put a wa between the first and second letter. Like for an example, you see I am masculine, feminine, watching equals sha wa mar, because shamar is one word. Shamar meaning to keep or watch. And so to conjugate in the present tense, you put a wa between the sha and the ma, and it's shawamar. Anya shawamar, meaning I am watching. Then you have a tha. All right, well, sorry, you got you. I looked at the English and automatically said a tha. So like it, so you watching, right? You have a tha. A tha is the pronoun. It's the subject pronoun you. Then you have shawamar. A tha shawamar. All right. The present tense is a very easy one to take note on and a very easy one to understand. The main thing that you're doing is you're putting a wa between the first and second letter. So you're putting a wa between the first and second letter. If it's feminine, like for instance, you feminine or watching, it's still a tha shamo. It's like a shawamara. Shamo. It's like a shawamara. 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 Ata shamamara. All right, shawamara. You got the sha. You got the wa between the sha and the ra. I mean the ma. But you see, there's a ha at the end of the ra. So shawamara. Shawamara. Meaning you're watching. You're watching. But the sister or whoever it is, the woman or whoever the sister is, they're watching or you watching. And you have he watching. Hawa shawamar. Remember, everything is just based off, I can't highlight it because it's a document, but everything is based off of the subject pronoun. So one thing you want to keep in mind is all conjugations are based off of the subject pronoun. All right, you cannot conjugate a verb unless you know the subject pronoun. So remember those subject pronouns that we went over. We're going to go over them again and again and again and again. But I want you guys to take a look at this. All right. So take a look at it. Ata shawamara, hawa'a shawamar, haya shawamara, anak nawa shawamariam. And here we go. Here's a new one. Here's a new one that you see. Anak nawa meaning we. So anak nawa is how you would say we in Hebrew as a subject pronoun. Then you have shawamariam. Shawamariam. The rule to this is you put a yum at the end of the verb being conjugated. So you put a wa between the first and second letter and then a yum at the end of it. So it becomes shawamariam. A knock now with shawamariam because now you're talking about more than one person watching. Of course, we meaning you and someone else is watching. You're including yourself when you say we. So it's still pluralized. All right. How do you do this if it's feminine? Same thing. You put a wath at the end of it. You put a wath at the end of it. Now this is saying we. In particular, sisters would still say yum. Even let's say the we is a group of sisters, they will still take the masculine tense. Unless you are particularly talking about sisters, like for instance, like you as a subject pronoun in particular in the feminine tense, then that's when you put the wa. A son shawamorath. Shawamorath. It's like a shawamorath. A son shawamorath. That's when you would do it. All right. But if you're a sister, any sisters out there that are trying to study and read Hebrew, when you say we, and let's say a group of sisters, it is like y'all just a group of sisters, and you're saying we are going out, you would still take the masculine tense. All right. But now if you in particular using the pluralized word for you all as an athon, now that's more particular, all right, more absolute. And so now there you go, you would just say, you would put a wath at the end of that and it would be shawamar wath. All right. And so this is just a quick overview because for time's sake, all right, it's a quick overview, but we're going to get into verb conjugations next week. For sure, I'm going to try to add that into the lesson. All right. And the reason why I like to go over verb conjugations a lot because it's what's really going to help us speak sentences. Also, I want you guys to make sure study your vocabulary. Study your vocab. All of that vocabulary matters. Every last bit of it matters. Vocabulary, 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 vocabulary. Remember your vocabulary. Don't forget about it, all right? Do not forget about that vocabulary. I'm going to keep that up. Before the class, before the class ends, does anybody have any questions? Before the class is coming to an end, I know if anybody has any questions about the Hebrew or scripture, you can ask now at any point, by the way. All right, this is the time that I leave open for any scripture questions, any words that y'all may or may not know. Y'all just let me know, all right? But make sure y'all have an overview. Also, if y'all need the study material, all right? I know a lot of brothers and sisters out there. I already sent the emails. If I missed any of you, y'all let me know. All right. But I believe I sent it to everybody. But if I missed you, Please let that be known so I can send you all of these documents. I believe I resent these documents because there were brothers that did not have access. And if I did not, just remind me because I can get that done this week to send them out. It's been like a week or two. So I want you guys to have that study material. I want y'all to have it for sure. All right. So if y'all need that study material, you let me know. Put your you can text the school number or text the school number to your email. Anybody that I missed that's in the live chat, let me know if I missed you. If not, because I already have y'all emails. I have young man Nate. I have your email. Young man Kenny. I got your email. Um, yeah, everyone that I see that checked in today, I already have y'all emails. I'm sure I sent that information to y'all already. But like I said, if you guys do not have it, let me know because that stuff I'm pretty much going to test y'all on. I'm gonna test it. I'm not going to create or generate a test, but while teaching, I'm going to ask, what is this word? Mostly, it's going to come from the most. I want y'all to study the most 100 common verbs because I'm going to ask you what's the verb for keep, or what's the verb to remember, or what's the verb to build, or what's the verb for love. Like y'all should be able to tell me love is ahab, build is banah. You guys get the point. Hate is sha'al. You should be able to tell me keep is shamar. You should be able to tell me remember is zakar. I don't think zakar is on the most 100 common verbs. I'm trying to think if it is or not. I don't think it is. That's just a verb I know. It's a lock it. So I will not probably quiz you on that. But y'all should know what zakar is. Zakar means to remember. If I ask you what halak means, you should be able to say to go. If I ask you what yalak means, you'd be able to say it means to walk. You should be able to do that off the top of your head. Know those verbs. If I say if I say if I ask you what makhala means, makhala, you should be able to say, oh, that means to fight. Or I think it's malakat. Salaki. I might salaki. It's either malakha or malakat, meaning to fight. All right, you should be able to say right there. Oh, that means to fight. If I say, what does it mean to open? You should be say, pathak means to open. Right? Like these are things you want to put into memory to remember. All right, put it into your memory. Put it into your zakar. You want to zakar these things. All right. So I'm gonna go through the most 100 common verbs so we can get used to those verbs. You want to get used to the verbs. All right. That's what I do on the daily when I got the time to. I read over the verbs. I study it so I know it. I study it and study it and study it so I know it. All right. So with that, Israel, shalom. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshua Brakathum to the brothers. And then shalom, Yahweh Shamar Alathan Ba'ashem Yahshua to the sisters. All right.